Norman Bates' mom is hot as fuck! Woo!
In 1960, Alfred Hitchcock created a film that is perhaps the most terrifying thriller of all time. Psycho. Now, come answers to the questions audiences have been asking for over 30 years. Psycho 4, The Beginning. How did it all start?
What are you doing here?
We're gonna wake up your mother.
Kill her.
I can't, no.
Then I'll do it for you.
What makes Norman Bates kill?
Look at yourself, boy. Ha! Girl. Yes, girl.
No.
Mama's little girl.
No.
How'd you kill your mother?
Slowly.
Will this be the end of Norman Bates?
Oh, I've killed before. And now I'm gonna have to do it again.
Or is it only the beginning? Psycho 4, The Beginning. Anthony Perkins stars, with Olivia Hussey, C.C.H. Pounder, and Henry Thomas as young Norman Bates. Psycho 4, The Beginning, on videocassette.
Alright, so Psycho 4: The Beginning is actually a TV movie that was released in 1990 and directed by Mick Garris, who you would recognize as the director of such classics like Critters 2, Sleepwalkers, and about a half a dozen Stephen King adaptations. The movie was also written by Joseph Stefano, the writer of the original Psycho, who came back to pen the final chapter and close the book on this character, Norman Bates. The movie stars Anthony Perkins, of course, as the lovable Norman Bates, Olivia Hussey as Norma Bates, Norman's mom, and Henry Thomas from E.T. plays a young Norman Bates. We also have C.C.H. Pounder from Demon Knight plays Fran, the radio host, and John Landis is in this movie. The fuck are you doing in this movie, John? You're not an actor. Get the hell out of here. Get the fuck out.
Give me a break.
Alright, so Psycho 4: The Beginning is basically a prequel/sequel rolled up into one that essentially ignores the Psychos 2 and 3, and I kind of don't blame him because Joseph Stefano came back to write the final one for the series, and it's like, you know, 2 and 3 introduced the Mrs. Spool plot twist, and it all gets too muddled and convoluted, so I don't blame Joseph for being like, I'm just going to kind of ignore 2 and 3 and do my own thing. So what's happening here is Norman Bates calls into a radio show that just so happens to be doing an episode that night on Matricide, which is killing your mother. Just so happens to be the same night that he decided to pick up the knife again and commit a double homicide by murdering his pregnant wife. Just coincidences. Movie coincidences. So they begin a dialogue back and forth between Norman, the radio host and psychologist on the show, and through this back and forth we get to hear the story told of how Norman Bates came to be the psychologically damaged serial killer that he is, through a series of flashbacks. Now, actually the flashbacks were gonna be filmed in black and white originally as a nod to the original Psycho, but they didn't go with that. And I'm glad they didn't because it looks beautiful in color. Mick Garris actually did a really fucking impressive job on this movie, to be honest with you. But yeah, so through, you know, these series of flashbacks, we get to see this fucked up, unsettling, uncomfortable, weird relationship between Norman and his mother, who happens to be bipolar, schizophrenic, and like fucks with him a lot, like fucks with their own kid a lot. So apparently Norman's dad died when he was young, so he's basically raised by his mentally ill mother in an isolated location where he doesn't get to like socialize with other people really. He's just there stuck with his fucked up mom who keeps messing with his head. And it's like she's fucking with him mentally and emotionally and physically. It's every form of abuse. And it's really no wonder that Norman Bates wound up becoming what he did. There's a lot of scenes in there where Mrs. Bates is actually addressing the camera directly as she's yelling at Norman. It's like she's yelling at us, the audience. It's like where we get to feel what it must be like to be Norman and be the target of this abuse. She abuses him in every way. As he grows up around this, in this environment, he becomes more and more fucked up. You can see it in his face, in the blankness of his face, that he's disconnected. There's a disconnect there. That kind of disconnect that sociopaths have. There's a disconnect. He can't really feel anything. He even says so at some point in the movie.
What the hell good are you if you can't show a little sympathy?
Well, I don't know how.
No, you just know how to cause trouble.
Now, I want to say that Joseph Stefano was hired as the writer for the original Psycho because he himself had mother issues. So Alfred Hitchcock thought, who better to write the script than somebody that's got the mind of somebody that has problems with his mom, So, but then you look at this movie and I'm thinking, if any of this relates to Joseph Stefano as true for him, I feel really fucking bad for him. Like, if any of this actually happened to him, between him and his mom, I feel really bad for him because all this is really messed up. I actually love all of the prequel scenes. All the flashback stuff is golden. This stuff is fucking gold. It's good. And the wraparound sequel story, I'd say for the first hour, it's fine. It's good. All the scenes in the radio station with kind of the cat and mouse game Norman is playing with the radio host and the psychologist. It's all pretty engaging, but I do want to say that Anthony Perkins' performance in this movie it's like way better than it's been in a while. He gives such a great performance in a lot of these scenes. My God, you can really see some deep disturbance in his face and his eyes. It's not the goofy Norman Bates that we got in 2 and 3. He's definitely more serious and believable and realistic in this one. And I want to say that Anthony Perkins found out that he had AIDS while filming this movie, and he went on to pass away a few years later. So I'm willing to bet that made an impact on his performance. I'm sure it made him a lot more serious and sad, and probably just emotions I can't even imagine he was feeling during some of these scenes.
If it's such good news, why would I be upset?
It'll work out, Norman. You'll see.
Something's burning. See you soon.
But you can see it in his performance, and it's great to see him do a really good performance again. Until there's a scene at the end where it gets goofy. I'll talk about that a little. I'll talk about that one thing a little later. But so yeah, the whole thing between Fran and the psychologist, which is supposed to be the psychologist that's from the original Psycho at the end, that explains to the audience what Norman's problem is. It's supposed to be the same character. It's not the same actor, but it's supposed to be the same character. Okay, I guess. Didn't need that really, but it's there. Now, so this movie for the whole first hour and 10 minutes, I think, is pretty solid. It is solid. This is a fucking fantastic movie. Until the last 20 minutes. Son of a bitch. Weak endings. Oh, when you have such a strong movie with a weak end, isn't that just the biggest letdown? Now, here's my problem with the wraparound story and the ending of Psycho 4 is that this lady, his wife, she's the biggest problem of this movie. It's absolutely her. She's the only problem I can find in this fucking movie is this dumb bitch. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's get started on this. So, apparently while he was in the mental institute, he met this psychologist that worked there. I don't even remember her name. Connie? Yeah, that's her name in the movie, Connie. And they fell in love with each other, whatever the shit. And he gets released, so they got married. She's not too bright so far, marrying a famous serial killer. But then he's like, all right, look, we're married. We make love, all that good stuff I never thought I'd do before. And now I'm doing it. It's great. I feel like I'm all better. Just one thing. I don't want to have kids because he's afraid that the mental illness from his mother that then he inherited will be passed down to his child. So that was his one stipulation, and she fucked him. She fucked him and let herself get pregnant on purpose because she wants a kid so bad. Oh, fuck this bitch. Shit. First of all, she doesn't deserve Norman Because look, he asked her for one thing and she can't even give him that. She doesn't deserve Norman Bates, and she's too fucking irresponsible to have kids. I hereby deem this woman too irresponsible to even have children. I hate this lady. Who wrote this character, and what is the point of it? She's dumb. She's like as dumb. She's got like fucking just rocks rattling around in her head. Psychologist, she's not too bright. I'm sorry, you can tell I'm really passionate about this. And here's why. Because in Psycho 3, I think him and Maureen from Psycho 3 were fucking made for each other. They were exactly what they needed to help each other become, like, to overcome what they were. They were perfect for each other in their awkwardness and their repression. They could have been, you know, they each would have understood what the other was experiencing and what they would need, and they could have worked together to rise above. So really, if they could have just taken the love story of between Norman and Maureen in Psycho 3 and put that one here in Psycho, the beginning, mix that with all the flashbacks and the prequel footage, and then have the happy ending of Norman facing up to his mom, burning the house down, and him and Maureen living happily ever after. This might have been like a 4.5 or 5-star movie if they had done that, because, but this lady there's no redeeming quality. She's sitting there begging Norman, please don't kill me and our child. I know you said don't do it, but I love you. Punch her, boom! I know she's pregnant, shouldn't hit women, especially pregnant women. The more you know. So there's that. That's just really, I think that's the only real flaw with this movie. Is that character is dumb and she doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that he would overcome his whole alter ego for this lady that doesn't even respect his wishes, doesn't even respect her partner. That doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, it is what it is. You just have to take it with a grain of salt. So that brings me to the scene where I think we get to see some of Anthony's hammy acting again, like very reminiscent of parts 2 and 3, where he's got Connie in the house. He's got a knife in his hand. He's about to murder his wife, and she's like, "Don't kill me, I love you." And so he kind of like puts the knife down. And it seems like maybe she talked him out of it. And he like looks down or closes his eyes or something, and she runs off. So then when he opens his eyes and he sees that she took off, he's like, "Connie!" He was literally just went to go like considering, she loves me, I love her, I won't kill her. Bitch took off. I'm fucking gonna kill the shit out of her. When he gets goofy like this, it's hilarious. I like Anthony giving a solid, serious performance, but I gotta say his goofy performance as Norman Bates is funny and enjoyable as well. Alright, so eventually she talks him out of murder, and he's like, okay, I guess I won't kill my fucking wife and kids. But he decides the best way to face his demons is to burn down the house. Burning down the house. So, which just seems like a brilliant idea. It should have been done a long time ago. That way he can't keep going back to the fucking scene of the crime and getting memories triggered in his messed up head. Should have burned that shit down a long time ago.
We don't need no water, let the motherfucker burn. Burn, motherfucker, burn.
But anyway, I want to say that I really do think that pretty much everybody in the movie gives a solid performance. Like I said, we see a performance from Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, like in a way that we haven't seen in a while. Everybody really, Olivia Hussey does a great job playing a psychologically damaged woman. Henry Thomas, I want to say he does a good job of playing somebody that can't feel. And you can see it like just on his blankness and the way he acts and reacts. I feel like I want to say I wish we had gotten more out of his performance, but that's all that it asked for. That's all that was called for, was for him to basically look emotionless a lot of the time. So I guess it's fine. It's fine. You know what? Let's just wrap it up, shall we? So Psycho 4: The Beginning, TV movie of all things, is fucking probably the best sequel out of all the sequels. And yeah, if it wasn't for that weak ending, this was So close to being a 4 or 4.5 star movie, but because of that weak ending, I'll have to drop it a little bit. Unfortunately, I'm going to give it a 3 3/4. Oh, it was almost a 4 star too. Oh well. Anyway, 3 3/4, pretty excellent movie for the most part.